I'd like to share a little bit about some things I've been thinking about. Then maybe we'll have a chance to talk after the sitting. I've been thinking about virtue. Virtue is an old-fashioned word. We don't use it. It's an English word. I don't know in other languages. Maybe in French, it's not so old-fashioned, or in other languages. But it's not a word that's commonly used these days. But I've been thinking about that word because I've been really contemplating the Bodhisattva vow, and in the expression of the Bodhisattva vow, the vow to awaken for the benefit of all beings. One of the lines, it begins, as do all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, by means of the abundant power of these virtues. And that really, and it goes on to say, in order to bring all beings to realize Buddhahood, we produce the thought of supreme enlightenment. So it's very interesting to just kind of think about the different phrases in that and what that means and the implications of what it might mean for my practice. I'm thinking about what it means for my practice. And but I was caught, like that second line, by the abundant power of these virtues. And I thought about, well, virtue, like, oh, do I have an abundance of virtue? And, thinking about virtue as having a power. And it does, virtue has a real power in our lives to transform us. And it's really the foundation for waking up, whatever that means. It's not that we have to form an intention that we're going to come to Buddhahood, because that might not be something that everyone relates to, but just to wake up, more in our lives, that we're not caught so much in the reactivity, moment to moment, day by day, not caught in getting angry and judging ourselves and judging others and just wanting, and zoning out, all of these ways that we are reacting rather than being present in our lives. So yeah, I thought, so how much virtue is there in my life? Thinking moment by moment. Well, I spend most of my time, to be really honest, like just taking care of myself and taking care of the environment around me and people in my life, and and then thinking about it deeply, I can open to virtue being present, but really it's been for a few weeks now, I've just been really thinking about virtue as something to give attention to cultivate, and that it builds a foundation. It builds a foundation for well-being, which also builds a foundation for kindness and for awareness, more mindfulness, more non-reactivity, presence. So how do we learn about virtue? How do we figure out what's virtuous? Well, there are some teachings in Buddhism, which were not actually formulated by the Buddha in any systematic way, but were formulated after the life of the Buddha, are the parami or the paramita. And there are, different systems of parami, paramita in different Buddhist traditions, but the first parami in all of the traditions, as far as I know, is generosity. And so I was thinking that I would talk a little bit about generosity, because it's a very accessible virtue, and there's so many ways in which we can be generous, and it doesn't all involve giving money or giving stuff or giving things away. I was thinking about how many expressions which express some dimension of generosity have the word give in it, like to give some space, to give somebody some slack, to give some time, to give our attention. Yeah, if you think of any, maybe you can write them in the chat. Maybe there are more that I haven't thought of. Yeah, just maybe giving up, giving up when we're in a kind of struggle with somebody, in a tug of war, just giving up. Yeah, caregiver, give care and support, give attention. Yeah, so, and just this generosity of heart can shift things just by cultivating an intention to be generous, to give the benefit of the doubt. There's another one I thought of, like sometimes the mind will just rush to judgment. Forgive, yeah, that's an interesting one. Give in, yeah, give life. Give up the ghost, yeah, letting go. Yeah, just, like when we're caught in judgment, or, like somebody's doing something and it's not the way we want, just having that quality of generosity of heart, just to give the benefit of the doubt, give some space, can just make such a subtle shift, which is life-giving. and I find that generosity is, in that way, a doorway to other virtues, to other qualities of heart, such as kindness, such as compassion. So when we find judgment arising or resentment arising, just if we've kind of tilled the soil of our heart, tilled the earth of our heart with generosity, then maybe that soil will give rise to a little seedling of kindness, of compassion, of appreciation, just appreciation of who that person is. And I find that appreciation is like the base for taking joy in that person's being. Sometimes mudita is called appreciative joy. So if you just appreciate, oh, that person is just really who they are, you know, it's just they're their own unique being, and they don't express themselves the way I'm used to, and I can enjoy, you know. So enjoy has that word joy in it. I can enjoy who they are. I can appreciate who they are. So yeah, so generosity kind of opens up the possibility for us letting go of things that we're holding on to. We hold on to things. We hold on to our preferences. We hold on to our opinions. We hold on to things being a certain way. Our prejudices. We hold on to them because we think that they give us some stability. We think that when we hold on to our ideas about how things should be, that then we know who we are. Excuse me. Then we know how things should be. We know how to make sense of our lives. But that is basically delusion. It's this holding on that that actually limits us. And because things never are the way we, for maybe more than a moment, things never stay the way we want them to be or the way we prefer them to be, or, you know, it's, life is just in a state of flux all the time, always changing. And so generosity can help us let go of the grasping mind state that wants to hold on, that feels that we always need more, we always need to fix things to be the way we want them. Generosity can give us a kind of nimbleness, a flexibility. So I'm using generosity in a very big way. You know, maybe it's kind of overlapping with other virtues. And of course, generosity also is giving what we have, sharing what we have. You know, that's kind of the more common definition. And I think that it's really important to do that. And that also helps us look at that scarcity mind state and think, you know, that which engenders fear and the sense of not enough, that I don't have enough, that I am not enough. You know, I've actually made a decision that I'm going to, you know, consciously support certain organizations that are helping people during the pandemic. I'm going to do something every day which feels generous. Might not all be giving financially. It might be just giving, not just. See, that's the kind of conditioned mindset that I evaluate things as less than if they're not material. So yeah, so it might be giving some space, it might be giving some time, it might be giving some attention, it might be giving some love, might be doing something for someone or giving a call. So I'd like to, that could be something I've been consciously wanting to cultivate. And it gives joy. The Buddha specifically said how generosity gives joy. It gives joy in three ways. When we think of doing something, when the thought comes, oh, I'm going to call so-and-so, just connect with them, or I'm going to do this for someone, or give this to someone. That opens the heart. And when that thought arises, we often don't give it attention, nourish it with our attention. We sometimes just let it drift away. Oh, that's a nice thought. And then we let it go. It can be really nourishing and life-giving to follow through on that. And the Buddha said that there's joy in actually following through on that intention that arises. And then the third way that generosity gives joy is that we remember. That was that heart connection, that giving, and that I connected with somebody, and it helps us to nourish that heart of being connected to all of life. And so it's okay that in giving, in cultivating this generosity, we're also giving to ourselves. It's like sometimes we might think, well, I should just give. That's what giving selflessly means. Like I shouldn't enjoy it. I shouldn't benefit from it. But that's not true. Like these sources of joy are very wholesome, and we need joy. It's just that, knowing that just ordering another thing online is not going to give us the joy we need, or going, having whatever second piece of chocolate cake or whatever it is, that whatever way we try to feed our hearts, that really, it's really cultivating these beautiful virtues, and generosity being a very key one that will nourish us. And it's good. The Buddha said, when these spiritual feelings of joy and contentment and peace and well-being arise, that we should notice them. We should take them in and appreciate them, allow them to nourish our being. So let's nourish ourselves with practice. So if you want to take a moment to stand up or shift your posture or stretch, you can do that. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that after our session ends at 11:30, there's an optional 20-minute time for just having an informal discussion. We can talk about this topic, or we can talk about other topics, whatever you would like, whatever people would like to talk about. So you can turn off your camera if you like, or just be in relationship to your computer in whatever way feels supportive. And as we begin, we can appreciate the generosity of our hearts for coming here, generous to ourselves, generous to others. Appreciating the generosity of the earth in supporting us. And allowing ourselves, giving ourselves the gift of feeling grounded, feeling held, feeling connected on the earth. Bringing our attention to the rising and falling of the breath, wherever we may feel it, wherever our attention may connect with it. It may be in a particular place, like the nostrils or the chest or the belly. It may be a more whole body experience. You may feel, you might find it helpful to take a few full breaths. And on the exhale, letting go of tightness or contraction that you may experience in the body and the mind. As you begin your sitting, perhaps a generous approach to sitting would be to welcome your whole being. To notice what are the energies that you carry in the body and mind that you're bringing with you. Is there a sadness? Is there a feeling of anxiety? Is there a feeling of being not enough? Is there a feeling of peace, well-being, appreciation, gentleness? Whatever's there. Welcoming that, generously welcoming it all. Not trying to push away or close the door on what is unpleasant or difficult. Welcoming that as well. And even generously opening into it if there's sadness, if there's discouragement or anxiety or judgment. And we can discover that it's really our pushing away, our resistance, which keeps these afflictive emotions solid. A feeling of their solidity comes from our lack of generosity toward them, our closed heartedness toward them. When we open into them, we find that there's room, there's space. That they can be received. Their voice can be heard. And they are free to dissolve. In our practice, we give our attention to being present in the body, in the breath, in the mind, being present with ourselves in this moment. In giving the gift of our attention in this way, again and again, we can begin to develop insight into the true nature of all experience. That it arises and passes. That it's dukkha, or unfulfilling, that no experience can give us the deep and enduring fulfillment that we seek. And that it's selfless, it arises from conditions. So by giving the gift of our intention, we develop insight. And the Buddha said that this is the highest value, that a moment of giving our attention and seeing that sensations arise and pass away, that thoughts arise and pass away, that emotions arise and pass away, that seeing into the nature of our experience is the most valuable thing that we can do. As important as virtue is, as important as love and compassion are, as important as generosity is, that this gift of our attention is the highest value. Because it's liberating. As we bring our formal practice to an end, there's an expression of generosity that we can do collectively, which I'd invite you to, which is a dedication of merit. So there's a goodness, there's a blessing field perhaps, or just a quality of being which develops through our practice. Perhaps you can touch into it, or perhaps it was an experience of opening, of spaciousness that arose for you at some point during our sitting today, or has arisen for you at some point in the past that you can bring to mind. A sense of sufficiency, a sense of enoughness, a sense of in a sense, perfection, belonging, not perfection in a perfect this or that, but just in the family of life, in the web of life. We're part of it all. And there's nothing that we lack. There's nothing that we have to be. However you might express these blessings of practice, we can dedicate them to the happiness and well-being and liberation of all. And so I invite you to bring to mind people, places, communities that need the healing balm of blessing, the blessing of your practice, of our practice. And join me in offering this. May the blessing, the merit, the goodness of my practice, of all of our practice, be dedicated to the happiness, well-being, and liberation of all beings in all realms. For the benefit of all.